Hey, we're back. Another episode of the Fantasy Football Consistency Show. Happy to be back, heading into Week 10. That's James Knight. I'm Bob Long. We are so happy to be here. We're going to share about what happened in Week 9, who was consistent, who wasn't, who's got some good trends consistently, and who doesn't. And then we're going to talk about Week 10. We got some buys and some big names off by. So let's all check it out next. Boom. All right, welcome back. Here we are. As I mentioned, buys Cincinnati, Dallas, and Kansas City are all off this week. Not a lot of teams. There's only 4. The other one's Tennessee. Nobody cares. But those big 3, it's going to affect some of you out there, so make sure you pay attention because we got some people that you may want to pick up, may want to take a look at. Obviously, a few trades this week. Nothing earth-shattering, at least from a fantasy perspective. Certainly, if you're the Jets or the Cowboys, you're either getting or receiving or giving up a lot of draft picks. So, but James, welcome back. Always happy to have you here. Your thoughts on the trades? Anything really like, ooh, didn't expect that one.
I want to say 2 things there. Like you said, the Colts giving up what they gave up absolutely solidifies the fact of how much they're in on Daniel Jones. That surprises me. I mean, like, we went from a lot of people thought if Jones was going to start, the Colts were going to tank and do stuff, to now they're all in, trading multiple first-round draft picks and a player, to go get a cornerback and do that. And then I still cannot figure out, I heard that the Chiefs sent an offer of a 4th for Breece Hall. The Jets said we want a 3rd, and the Chiefs balked and walked away. I don't understand that. A 3rd for Breece Hall on that Chiefs team. I think the Jets did the whole entire AFC, maybe the entire NFL, a favor by not trading him. So that surprised me that the Chiefs didn't bend the knee and say, "Here, take a 3rd."
Yeah, and it's not even bending the knee. It's if somebody offered you Breece Hall in a dynasty league and you said you only had to give up a 3rd, like you'd be falling over yourself to give him a 3rd.
I would have.
I don't get it. Yeah,
I lowballed them to begin with the 4th, and when you send the 3rd back to me, I can't click that fast enough.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, you're gonna offer some garbage first, as always. But yeah, it was just like, okay. And the thing was, he didn't want to be there. He even mentioned he didn't want to be there.
He was posting on X all kinds of things, like looking around the corner, like, where's everybody else at? I hate all my guys are leaving. I don't want to be here. Yeah, it's crazy. But they do apparently get what a conditional pick for him. If he leaves in the offseason, they're going to get at minimum a 3rd back. So I guess their idea is we get to keep him for the rest of the year and we still get a 3rd in the end. That's better than getting a 4th right now for him. So
right. But if you're not going to keep him anyway, just play Isaiah Davis and see what he got in him and let Breece Hall sit on the bench and keep him healthy so you can get a pick for him.
Absolutely, 110%.
All righty. So interesting stuff. Beyond that, not too much. A lot of defense, offensive line, defensive tackles. So some decent stuff there. So let's take a look at the consistency factor as we look at the quarterback position. Still hovering right around 20, so it's 19.92. So we'll just call it 20 just to be safe. Brock Purdy's 2 for 2. It's 100%. I get it, but let's disregard him for this moment. There are no other 100%ers. The top guy, Jalen Hurts, 88%, 7 out of 8, only 8th in total points. In fact, he's about 40 points behind first place in total points, and that's Patrick Mahomes, who is just 1 game behind him at 78%, 7 for 9. Obviously, Mahomes played 1 more game at some point. Well, this week, Mahomes will be off, so he'll get that back in check. Lamar Jackson came back, earned a clutch game, looked like the Lamar Jackson we all know and love, so hopefully that helps the Derrick Henrys and the Zay Flowers, and obviously it helped Mark Andrews quite a bit.
Absolutely.
If you're Mark Andrews, and it was kind of interesting. It was kind of on Halloween, which meant Mark Andrews was the Undertaker and came back from the dead. So if you have him, good for you, but don't get too excited. Drake May, 78%, maybe one of the biggest surprises of the year. Third in total points, just gets the job done. Put up 4 straight clutch games now. Josh Allen, Jackson Dart, both at 75%. Interestingly enough, Jackson Dart is 17th in total points. Josh Allen is 4th. Why? Because Jackson Dart didn't play much at the beginning of the year, but he has put up 6 straight. It's basically 6 for 6, but he counted because he was probably in those games, played a snap or 2 or whatever.
Yeah, he had some packages and stuff like that. Yeah, that was it.
Which it's kind of unfair. He really is 6 for 6 since he really became the starter. Justin Herbert, Daniel Jones, 67%. Stafford, 63%, 9th in total points. Prescott, 7th. Total points, 56%. Bo Nix, 6th in total points, 44% consistent. He's actually had 2 out of his last 3, which is those huge games that he had against Dallas and the Giants. Then not late in A, he didn't get a 0, but did not earn a clutch game last week. So right now,
you got to throw that Houston game out of the window. They only give up like 5.2 yards per pass attempt in the NFL. They're the number 1 defense against quarterbacks. I mean, come on.
Yes, they absolutely are. And this week they've got Jacksonville. So, if you're looking for excitement for Parker Washington and company, you might want to calm down.
Absolutely.
Other than that, some people that have not looked good. Well, before we get to that, let's talk about the top group, the quarterbacks there. Anybody you see that you feel like they should be heading the right direction towards more consistency, or may start tailing off because of various, whether it's loss of linemen, players, receivers, whatever the case may be.
And then, you look at that and you bounce around and you do a bunch of stuff with the high-end guys here. And it to me, again, it's still Jackson Dart. I still can't believe he's doing all this without Malik Neighbors, without a top wide receiver, without all the same problems that Daniel Jones had. And then Cam Scatterboo goes down. And guess what? Jackson Dart still throws out a consistent game and still does it. Like, the fact that he just keeps doing it with his legs and doing that. And, we're talking about Drake May has ascended this year and jumped up there in his second year. And Jackson Dart is right in that fray of consistency with May, Allen, and Dart. And like you alluded to, if they had given him the reins, not saying he would have been ready week 1, but if they did and he was this player, we would probably be talking about him up there at the top, And then I think that's going to keep going, because at this point, what else can happen to him? He's lost his number 1 running back. He's lost his number 1 wide receiver. They've lost all kinds of stuff there, and he just keeps producing against no matter who it is. So I like him to continue. And then you and I talked about it a little bit before the show. Another guy I just want to touch on real quick, Daniel Jones. Before the season, a lot of people wrote them off. A lot of people had Anthony Richardson starting there, and they were like, if Daniel Jones starts there, that's a full tank mode, and the Colts are going to tank. Well, as we know, they made those trades, did all the stuff, did everything else, and here's Daniel Jones throwing consistency up too, and 4 straight, him and Dart both, Dart 6 straight, Jones 4 straight. I think both of them are trending in the right direction. We're going to keep seeing them move up.
That's for sure. The one guy who's been, again, I don't have him, but been disappointed if was counting on him, was Caleb Williams. He's only 50% for the season, and out of the last 4 games, 50%. He's just one of those guys that I don't know if you can count on yet. He's 10th in total points. He's right there with the Bo Nixes and the Prescotts and them that are floating around or below 50%, and they're top 10 in scoring, but it's just not the consistency you want out of them. So, if your team's not doing well and you've got one of those quarterbacks, it could be part of your problem. But the one thing I want to do, and I want to shout out to Matthew Stafford. I know he's a big fan. I'm sure he's watching the show. Would you please stop throwing 2-yard passes to Devontae Adams and give the damn ball to Kyren Williams? Just ask him. Perfect. For a friend.
Devontae Williams is like triple lapped everybody in the league with like targets from the 5.
Oh, Devontae Adams, yeah.
Devontae Adams, right? Like they get down there. I haven't seen, but let's be honest. I don't remember seeing this anytime in the near past since Matthew Stafford was doing it with Calvin Johnson. The Lions would get down within the 5, and it would be fade. Yes. Go get it, Calvin. Go get it, Calvin. And it looks like he's been killing that with him. So
yeah, in my Kings Classic League, I have Kyren Williams, and and he said been okay. But, when I see 4 touchdown passes and none of them are over 5 yards, I'm like, come on, dude.
Give one or two
Run
of those.
run at least one of these in. Can you give Kyren one shot?
Kyren jumps up a whole tier almost on just that one touchdown a game extra if you start giving him the ball down there. Yeah.
I know. It's like, just help brother out here. And so let's look at the running back positions. Excellent transition. So 9.96, so basically 10 points a game, which is still kind of low. I always say that it's usually running backs and wide receivers are closer to 11, but running backs are 9.96. Devin Achin, 100%, 9 for 9. Josh Jacobs, 100%, 8 for 8. Bucky Irving's 4 for 4, hasn't played in a while. McCaffrey had the one non-clutch game last week, or week 8. So he's 8 of 9, first in total points. Took over the total points lead because Mr. Taylor decided to take a week off and not rush for 3 touchdowns, which I was fine with because I don't have him.
Yeah.
But McCaffrey had a big week again, so took over the lead in fantasy points. And those two are way ahead of everybody else. So 4th place is 60 points behind McCaffrey. I'm just saying. And that's Bijan Robinson, who's also 88%. Kyren Williams is 88%. Like I said, he's doing okay. He's 10th in total points. But like you said, just give the brother an extra touchdown a week instead of throwing them all to Devontae Adams. That would be cool. He might be 5th in total points. Scattered, of course, out. Swift, that's going to be ugly. That's going to be the Carolina Panthers. You see it coming. It's the same scenario.
Yes.
Take a week off, you're going to get your butt replaced, and somebody's going to go off. Now, granted, I always forget. Monangai?
Yeah, Monangai.
Monangai, I don't know, whatever.
That guy.
He played against the Bengals, right? Bengals?
Yeah.
Bengals.
Yeah, that was the shootout, Bears-Bengals. Yeah.
Bears-Bengals, right. Okay. So, yeah. You take over for a guy, and it's the week you're playing the team that can't stop anybody, and he goes off, and so now all of a sudden we've got a problem. Is it Swift? Is it Monangai? They say it will go back to Swift. We'll see. They said they were going to go back to Hubbard, and guess what? It didn't go well.
An honorary start. You get the first carry. We'll throw a target your way. Here comes Monangai for the rest of the game.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Javonte Williams, 78%. James Cook, 75%. Jahmyr Gibbs, 75%, which is a little disappointing. 8th in total points, 75%. Remember, he started off with 5 straight, and he was just rolling. We thought he's going to run away with this whole. Him and Bijan were going to run away with the total points, consistency, and everything. And Gibbs has cooled off only 1 out of his last 3 since week 6. Jalen Warren, 71%, Judkins, 71%, and we'll just stop there. So there are some 60s, and obviously some 50s, obviously some good players, not over 50%. But before we get to that, let's talk about the guys above 50%, or at least above 60%, because that's what you really want out of your first and second starters. Anybody in there that you're still kind of surprised by, good or bad, in that group?
Kind of good and bad here a little bit. And I'll touch on something with Jonathan Taylor. Like you talked about, he kind of just sat down and didn't score 3 touchdowns. Shout out to a guy on X at Guru Fantasy. He mentioned something, and I saw a stat, and I had to look it up. And he's like, Jonathan Taylor would still be the running back 2 in points per game this season behind only Christian McCaffrey if you scored him in standard and everyone else was in PPR. So if you took his PPR points away, he's still the second highest scorer behind McCaffrey, and everybody else gets PPR points. But the thing about that, and it made me think about something, is it runs into that old adage of how I used to feel about kind of like Nick Chubb would be that way. Henry used to kind of be that way too. It's almost like Taylor's not getting any of that passing game work at all and not doing a whole lot there. So you do run that risk if they take off, they run the game up, they don't really want to run Taylor later. There might be some fear for fantasy owners who have Taylor as the Colts keep running up the scores and keep winning if they do.
Mm-hmm.
that they're not going to run Taylor down the stretch the same way that they would. And like you said, if he doesn't punch the touchdown in, is that going to hurt some people? So I'm not. I won't say I'm surprised that he's up towards the top because it's Jonathan Taylor, and we all know he had RB1 within his range of outcomes. But I think some fantasy owners should probably temper some expectations on what might happen with him, especially in different game matchups for that Colts team. And second on that, though, I want to throw a shout out to James Cook because the Buffalo Bills lost 2 games, and I'm just going to say that the 2 games that he didn't get clutch were 2 games he didn't get 50% snap share or touches in games, and they lost those 2 weeks. And since then, he's come back, got the touches, got the stuff. And James Cook has just been phenomenal this year, 7th overall in points. And I've been in on him since Georgia days. Love him all so many different ways. Like I said, he's my pin post on X. And the Bills, give him more run, keep giving him run. Good things will happen.
Yeah, I mean, the fear with him, and I'm going to be the first to admit, I love James Cook. I had him last year in some teams. I was so excited to draft him again, and then that holdout, and I was like, oh, man, not this crap. And, they got him signed. He came back, and he didn't miss Terry McLaurin time.
I love the fact, like you were talking about, but even during the holdout, if you remember, he came back to practice and was at
True, it was a hold in, right?
Yeah, it was a hold in. He was actually at practice doing stuff, which is huge for your thing. And you're 100% right. The more I looked into the details, like you said about McLaurin, go ahead with that. But because you're 100% right on this, man, about guys missing time.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, I wish I would have drafted more James Cook than I didn't. But next year I will. I promise. They will probably get hurt. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Just looking at the guys at 50% below. Again, David Montgomery, man, I just don't get it. He did score a clutch game this past week. I think it's mostly because they played bad team, and I forgot. Should have my schedule with me. Tampa Bay? No. Washington? No. Minnesota? No. That's this week. No. Detroit? Yeah, they're at Washington this week. Yeah, it was against Minnesota at home. That's right. So it was Minnesota at home. He always does good at home. Minnesota's not a good run defense. They are, where at? 11th, so not bad. But anyway, he got his touchdown, and he got some points, but still only 50%. Alvin Kamara, 0 for his last 3, just as falling. I mean, that team is falling apart. Well, we get it. But now it's just Kamara. They don't have Rashid. So I'm hoping that they'll use him more out of the backfield. I don't understand why Tyler Shook wouldn't be checking down on every play and let him get out and, in space. Then you got the Seattle, I'll call it the Seattle disaster, Kenneth Walker and
Zach
Charbonnet. Trayvon Henderson finally got a clutch game, but he's way down there. Who else? There's a lot, but that's pretty much all of the major guys. But anyway, Charbonnet's at 57%, Walker's at 38%, 27th and 38th. Charbonnet's 38. Just. And, going to that team and they got Kubiak, who's supposed to be this running guru expert. And now they're basically throwing they're the Los Angeles Rams now. They're just throwing the ball everywhere. Yep. And they blew out, who was it last week? Houston? No.
Washington.
Yeah, they blew out Washington on the, the night game. And he had 4 touchdown passes, the first halfway through the second quarter or something. It was just like, wow.
He had like 280 yards and 4 touchdowns at halftime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, so they'll run the ball a lot in the second half. No, they didn't.
No. They look like
the
Tom Brady Patriots, where even when they had the lead, they were letting Darnold throw 6 and 7 yard passes and then air it out right after that. It was crazy.
Yeah, now they have Shaheed, so it's going to be even more fun. So
bring another receiver. That's what they need. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, another fast receiver. Torrey Horton wasn't enough. All right, so let's move on to the wide receiver position, 10.28, just a little bit over where the running backs are. And speaking of Seattle wide receivers, right at the top, second in total points, 100% consistent, Mr. Jackson Smith-Njigba from the Ohio State University. Right behind him, 8 for 8, or tied with him, I guess, at 8 for 8, Justin Jefferson, but 12th in total points because, well, quarterback situation hasn't been great, but he's been getting the ball. They're getting them to him, but 12th in total points is not what we wanted out of our guy we picked probably in the top 5. Rashee Rice, 3 for 3 since he's come back. Pickens, 89%, 5th in total points, which is surprising that CeeDee Lamb's him back and he continues to get the ball. So, but then we all know why, right? Dallas Cowboys suck. They can't stop anybody. They got to throw the ball. And they did a terrible job of that Monday night last week against Arizona. It's like, what the heck was going on there? Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, Jordan Addison, 4 for 5. Michael Pittman, 78%. Olave, 78%. Devontae Adams, with all his touchdowns, is at 75. Quentin Johnston is still at 75. Zay Flowers is 75. DK Metcalf, 75. Khalil Shakir at 75. We'll just slow down there. Interesting group at the top. Some names that we don't see are Drake London, Jamar Chase, Cortland Sutton, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, all down in the 60s and 70s. Your thoughts on this group as a whole? I feel like some are, heading back. I feel like Drake London's kind of getting back. He started off 4 out of his first 5, then zeros 2 straight. I think he did miss one of those games. Got his clutch game back this past week with Michael Penix back. Nico Collins still kind of getting his way, but now CJ Stroud's out this week. So now, is it still Davis Mills? Is it still that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's drawing the start this week.
Ooh, okay. So the wide receiver situation, I feel like it's kind of a hot mess. Like I said, it is not the high-end numbers for a lot of players. I mean, again, we're looking at the top 36 to be our 12 teams, 3 wide receivers per team without flex. Just that's top 36. The top 36 in consistency, I don't think stays above 50%. In fact, let me look at this real quick. 30, 20, 29 wide receivers are at 60% or higher.
Wow.
And that is where I always say that's the line. Like, for them to be worthy of being on your team, they have to be at least, and that's your wide receiver 3 is 60%, like 60 to 70. And then 70 to 80 is your wide receiver 2. And then above 80 is your wide receiver 1. That's what you want out of your players. We're not getting that out of most wide receivers. I mean, we've got 5 that are 80% or higher, and Jordan Addison's at 4 for 5. He doesn't count. Puka Nacua is hurt. And the other ones are Pickens, Rice, and then the players we expect. Well, maybe we didn't expect JSN. Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, that kind of stuff. But, it's not what you want out of, I think it's harder now to find consistent receivers than it used to be to find consistent running backs. It's tough. And these aren't high clutch factors. Like I said, it's usually around 11. So the fact that it's 10.82 and it's still this bad means that either one, teams are spreading the ball out more. Injuries certainly are a big part of it. We haven't even gotten into the bad weather crap yet. Yeah. So I don't see it getting better. I see it getting worse. Yeah. Your thoughts on that scenario?
And you hit the nail on the head. I couldn't agree better. In PPR leagues and doing stuff, and you look at things, the baseline for me, and even in 3 wide receiver sets, or leagues that I can start 3 wide receivers, I want to get 10 a week out of my wide receivers. That's right. The bare minimum I'm looking at. Yeah. When you're talking about, we only have 3 wide receivers that are at 100% there, and one of them is a guy who just came back and has only played 3 weeks.
3 games, right?
Like you said, played 3. And it's like you're looking at it and you're like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, how far do I got to reach and how far do I got to go down? You're starting to see some of that, and I think some fantasy players are seeing that too. in their lineups, their second, their third wide receiver, that flex guy, they're having to play and do stuff. They're like, you know what? If I can get 8 out of him, I'm going to be okay. And that's crazy for wide receiver. Like you said, the rotation and how far the consistency has dropped is crazy. And the one guy I'm going to touch on who's up high, and it's Chris Olave. And we talked about it. It's him and Kamara now. The Rashid Shaheed is gone. Maybe Jawan Johnson you can throw in there, but the rest of that is just Brandon Cooks and I'm not in Mason Tipton. I mean, like you start going crazy. Chris Olave is second in targets in the NFL already behind Jamar Chase. That's the only person he trails, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, how many more targets can he get? Are we going to start getting 20 target like old school Cooper Kupp, 15, 20 targets for Olave? And crazy part about it is we've always been afraid of Olave because of the injury history, because, if he gets hit, he gets a concussion, whatever he's done. But apparently, in their offense down there, they've figured that out. Kellen Moore set him up with a lot of layups, a lot of easy looks. If they don't pick up with Kamara, I mean, like I said, Olave might be one of those league winners who's getting you 10 catches a week just on volume alone towards the end. You throw in a touchdown, he might jump up the board, and he's already wide receiver 9 right now, in points.
Right.
So
the key is staying healthy, like you said.
Yeah. And that's big for him. And this past week, we also saw Marvin Harrison Jr. start to morph into the wide receiver 1 that he can be. And now that the new Call of Duty is coming out, they've put Kyler Murray on IR. Jacoby Brissett is going to play for at least 4 more weeks. It's kind of like the woodchuck or whatever saw his shadow. We've got 4 more weeks of Marvin Harrison. One, right?
Yeah.
So
I love it.
He looks like he's on the up too, from what I can tell down there. And Brissett's got that offense moving better than Murray has in years, I feel like.
Yeah. No, it's. I don't know if it was Howard Bender or Jeff Mann, but one of the two said, that game that he had against Dallas, they said right there was the whole reason why Kyler Murray should never been paid that money. He's just not that good. He's, who he reminds me of? Deshaun Watson without the massages. He appears to be completely bored out of his mind, standing on the sidelines. He has no emotions. He's not talking to anybody. He's not on, the thing, like a Joe Burrow, man, when he was, on the sidelines hurt, he'd be right there, with the things.
First one with a high five.
Yeah, right. Or, whoever. There's just no emotion. Like, I don't care. I got paid. So screw all of you. And I think he's going to be the next Deshaun Watson for the next 3 years or whatever his contract is. Because he's going to be like, I'm paid. I got my guaranteed money. Screw all of you. I don't care. I'll go play baseball. He probably won't. He's probably sitting there going, I should have just went and played baseball.
At this point, yeah.
Because that was, I don't know if he got drafted in the pros. He was actually a heck of an outfielder.
He was a 5-star prospect, coming out. He could have chosen baseball easily,
Yeah, but he took football, and here we are. But just looking at the 50% belows, Devontae Smith, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, obviously, Terry McLaurin, of course, been hurt most of the year. A.J. Brown is 43%, 38th in total points. At least Devontae Smith is 17th. Like, he's not terrible, but A.J. Brown, man, I'm telling you, he is just killing me in my Kings Classic leagues. There's some other guys that weren't drafted as high, but those players were. So, I'm hoping that Philadelphia can kind of get that offense rolling, get Saquon involved, get all of them involved. If anybody's benefited, I think, the most, and we'll just transition to that, is the guy that's sitting in second place in consistency at the tight end position, and that is one Dallas Goddard. He's 6th in total points, 71% consistency. That's a very big games, a couple games this year. Because why? Well, everybody's covering A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith is worried about Saquon Barkley. So Goddard just stands by himself. As we move, though, to the tight end position, they have now reclaimed their spot as the best and highest clutch factor between wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. 10.46. It went up this week. It had dropped down to like 10.2, 10-something last week. It jumped up to 10.46 this week. Granted, there were some big games out there again. But Trey McBride, 88%, still the man. Jake Ferguson, I'm going to change his first name to Turd. Has put up now 2 non-clutch games after he got a 0 2 weeks ago and didn't do much this past week. Tyler Warren, 67%, but he's also went 0 for his last 2. Tucker Kraft, sadly, for all you Tucker Kraft owners, luckily I don't have much of him. But yeah, I felt bad for those who did because he was having such a great year, and yeah, he's done. Dalton Kincaid, this was my classic mess up of the week. I had to decide between starting Ferguson or Dalton Kincaid, and I expected Ferguson to have the big comeback after he got a 0, and Kincaid's playing Kansas City, who actually is like 7th against tight ends. So I'm like, I don't. And then would Kincaid have like 29 points this week? Luckily, it didn't cost me a win, but that was painful. Rondé Gadsden, 4 straight, rolling up, already 11th in total points, 57%. Kelsey, 57%. And his put up 2 straight. So I feel like he's actually put up 4 of his last 5. So I feel like, again, he's not scoring 20-plus points a game. He's getting 15-ish. But I'm okay with that. Like, just be consistent for me, dude. Yep. You don't have to set the world on fire. I get it. We're all going to throw to Rashid Rice. But just get me that he's 15, like 5 for 50 and a touchdown. That's like 16 points. That's all I want. I'm not greedy, So at least he's doing that. At least he's above 50%. You talked about Juwan Johnson, 2 out of his last 3, 56%. And I think he will continue that consistency because who else are they going to throw to, right?
He's next in line. Got to be you.
So that is it. That is over 50%. So not counting Darren Waller, who's 2 for 3 and done for the year, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 10 tight ends are above 50% consistent.
And one of those is going to be Tonjes, who's probably not going to do anything either.
Tonjes isn't in there, believe it or not. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. He is. You're right.
Yeah, he's at 57. Yeah.
I missed that. So, yeah, and he's one that's going to fall back because George Kittle's back. We just kind of shrug our shoulders every week at tight ends. I don't know if there's anybody who I feel like, Kittle maybe will start kicking back up. Fannin, maybe Njoku will start kind of kicking back in. Dylan Gabriel, yeah. Certainly loves those guys, throws the tight ends quite a bit. So Fannin and Njoku, Zach Ertz has cooled off, and now Daniels is done for quite a while, if not the rest of the year. So he's been 0 for 2 the last couple of weeks. Bowers finally, that was why. Bowers had his 30-plus points, hence why the clutch factor went up. Will they do that again tonight against Denver? I feel like Denver's going to be all over Brock Bowers because, again, who are they going to throw to? They got Trey Tucker, Jack Beck. Maybe they'll throw to Genty out of the backfield, but yeah. Not that Jacoby Myers was doing much anyway, let's be honest.
If Vance Joseph, the DC for Denver, isn't double, triple bracketing Bowers every single play, I'd be shocked. Absolutely shocked. Yeah.
Yes. Like, why are you even trying?
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz, 3 out of his last 4, certainly, with Nico, not being 100%, they're just a hot mess too. And this week with them, Davis Mills, I assume they'll be throwing to Schultz a lot. So definitely jump on that one somewhere. Hunter Henry, 10th in total points, 33% consistent. He has had 0 clutch games since week 4. The first 4 weeks, he went 3 for 4. He looked like he was going to be tight end god, and he's had 0 for 6. So if you were starting him, stop. So there's a bunch of others, like some Mark Andrews finally got his. The tight end position, anything you want to share on that without vomiting, please do so.
You hit the nail on the head with most of the stuff here. And it seems the same as that is every single week it's somebody else. McBride seems to be somewhat consistent. Goddard seems to be doing it. Everybody else just comes and goes as they please. And then some guy somewhere, Bowers probably, maybe he goes scorched earth being the only target there. But looking at the rest of these guys, it's like it's Laporta next week. It'll be Kittle the week after that, and then it'll be Schultz or whoever. And it feels like somebody puts up those 30-point games or whatever and keeps pushing that clutch factor up because one random guy out of nowhere comes out of nowhere and has a huge 10-catch week. And it's just like, I don't, outside of leagues, and there's a couple places that I've got McBride, feel really good, leave him in, let him roll, especially Brissett's been throwing touchdowns to him. You know what I mean? Kyler Murray was not. I think he had 5 touchdowns total in all of his time with Murray. He's got 4 with Brissett over the last 6 weeks. So, which is crazy. So I feel good there. I feel good with, and I know you like him, that you picked him in some leagues and you've got him as a Rondé Gadsden there. He seems to be picking up the pace, and we know that for some reason Jim Harbaugh is letting Herbert sling it all over the field to everybody. So Gadsden looks like a monster, and I guess at this point, if I'm grasping straws and going down the list, I can't say I feel good or bad about anybody else at all, other than the fact that, like you said, I'm just going to kind of plug somebody in there and look the other way.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a good chance that maybe Brock Purdy comes back this week. Maybe he does love him some George Kittle, so
I think
hopefully we'll start seeing that, because how could Kittle come back and Mac Jones not throw every pass? I don't know. Unless teams are double teaming because there's nobody else, right? I mean, you've got a banged up Juwan Jennings. You've got, now that I've heard Ricky Pearsall might come back this week, that would be helpful. So, if we can get Purdy back, Pearsall back, this offense starts clicking. The only sad part about that is that all of us CMC owners would be like, no, don't do it. Throw it 100 times to CMC, please.
The 49ers ran 37 plays this week, 33 touches for Christian McCaffrey. So
that's exactly, as long as it doesn't get injured. That's exactly like
the joke has been he seems to have taken everyone else's health and just kept putting it into him. And the 49ers are okay with that because he seems, what are they, 6-2 right now? Something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like their entire offense has been a disaster physically, but yet they win football games. First off, they're playing not a real hard schedule. Like the next 3 games, they play the Rams, which is always a struggle. It's inter-conference. But then they play Arizona, who stinks, and then Carolina, who stinks.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So you're looking at they might come out 3 weeks from now and be 8-3.
Yeah, and then have everybody back. I mean, even IU could be back by then.
You get that team humming, full power like that. That is a team nobody's going to want to see down the stretch, nor in the playoffs.
Especially in the NFC, which has no powerhouse. Like Philadelphia is vulnerable. And they're the Super Bowl winners, and I keep hearing people talk about the Rams as a Super Bowl team. I'm like, what?
I was going to say, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers fighting in the NFC West might be the best fight the NFC's got,
Yeah. So, and then, if Tampa Bay can get everybody healthy and they start rolling, that could be another tough team in that division. But, we don't know. It looks like Godwin may or may not make it back at all. Evans, I think, is done, right, for the year?
Yeah, he's done. He's done.
He's done. So we got to hope Lucas stays healthy. Sterling Shepard, all these other guys, Tez Johnson, maybe again. So they just pull them out of the stands. Anyway, all right.
It is.
James, tell everybody where they can find you, all your great stuff on Big Guy Fantasy Sports.
Yeah, check it out, guys. Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Every single week, do the Under the Radar with consistency series. I also do the Game of Fantasy Points on Monday to review the matchups with consistency, do all that stuff. Check out our tools. Check out all the consistency stuff. Every article we write, all the stuff that we do, everything that I do is driven from our tools on the site. Fantastic. It helps me in all my leagues. And, hey, we've made it past most of the biggest buys. Now it's time for us to focus on playoffs. And, good luck with everybody doing that. And if you have any questions, hit me up on X. Let's talk.
Let's do it. All right. You can follow me, of course, on the Twitter machine at Bob_Long. All the stuff coming back to you. Still just cranking out articles for the weekend. So prop bets, we went 5-3. Yeah, no, 4-2. 4-2. DFS kicking butt again. So doing great there. But we're doing articles, not podcasts, which It's okay. I have a face rating. So just read the articles. It's much easier that way. You don't have to spend 15 minutes listening to me talk. But check everything out there. Like James said, he's got all kinds of great stuff. Ron and them cranking out start sit. Kobe with who's hot, who's not. Great stuff. Using all of the consistency tools. If you're not using them, you need to be. And again, I will throw out this offer only if you're watching the show. Just hit me up, DM me, Twitter, email me, Bob at Big Guy Fantasy Sports, whatever you want to do. I'll give you 50% off the subscription. That means it's only $10 for the rest of the year. Get you through the playoffs. We're here for you. Answer your questions. Get you to a title. So for James Knight, I'm Bob Lung. Take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.